Now on BBC Two, tracking medical breakthroughs, it's See You, See Me.
Oh, Steph, come on, it's only a bit of toothache.
It's really sore.
Yeah, well, if it's so sore, why don't you go to the dentist? Oh, look, come on, it's not a problem going to the dentist nowadays. You'll be in and out in 5 minutes. He'll give you an injection to take away the pain. It's no problem. I mean, imagine what it was like if you had to go to the dentist 100 years ago. Then you'd know what it was all about. Yeah, imagine that. Going to the dentists 100 years ago.
I can give you gas. It'll prevent you feeling any pain. But it's going to make you very, very sick. And while I'm using this drill to drill your tooth, you'll have to be very, very still. Because if I slip and it goes into your gum, it's going to hurt you. Have you got any money with you? Oh, that's not enough money to have your tooth filled. You'll have to go to the fairground and see the tooth puller.
Wait, what? What will he do?
He'll get two men to hold you down, and using pliers like these, he'll yank your tooth out.
Steph, what's wrong? What's wrong? Where are you going?
Dentist.
The dentist? I wonder what made her change her mind. Let me tell you the story of James Young Simpson. 150 years ago, he was a medical student at Edinburgh University. He nearly gave up studying medicine because of some of the terrible things which he saw in the operating theatres. In those days, there was no anaesthetic, which is the thing that makes you sleep through an operation. Can you imagine lying on a bed like this, wide awake, while a doctor cuts off your leg with one of these? So, Alistair, what did Simpson invent?
James Young Simpson didn't invent anything. He just discovered that this chemical called chloroform could be used to make people fall asleep or go into unconsciousness. Simpson was actually an obstetrician, which is a doctor that helps women have babies, and he wanted to make the women in his practice have no pain when they actually had children.
So what were people's reactions to Simpson's use of chloroform?
The reaction was very mixed. Some people thought this was wonderful, that at last we had got a chemical which could make operations painless or childbirth painless. Other people thought this was terrible. It was commonly believed at that time that childbirth should be painful, and so therefore anything which made childbirth painless was seen as very, very bad. It wasn't actually until Queen Victoria used chloroform when she was having one of her children that it became publicly acceptable to actually have some form of pain relief whenever you were having children.
So that was really the turning point when it got the royal seal of approval, if you like?
Yes, very much so.
So is chloroform still used today?
No, things have moved on since James Young Simpson's days. We now no longer use chloroform, but we use chemicals which are very similar. James Young Simpson pointed the way towards the use of gases and chemicals which could put people to sleep.
So, is James Young Simpson very important in medical history?
Yes, he is. He pointed the way, certainly, for all of us in modern anaesthetics towards having painless operations. All this came about because of Simpson's aim of making childbirth as painless as possibly could.
So thanks to Mr. Simpson, we can go to hospital and get our appendix taken out, our tonsils taken out. We could go to the dentist and have a tooth taken out, all without feeling any pain.
Yes.
When I had the anaesthetic, it made me feel very happy. I felt it going up my arm, and it felt tickly, and it went up quite fast. And I was trying to count to 24, and I started counting. When I counted 2, I fell asleep. I didn't want to show I was scared, but I was really scared inside. I think it would be really, really painful to have one if you were still awake.
James Simpson isn't the only Scot to help pregnant women. In 1954, Professor Ian Donald developed the ultrasound baby scan, which lets doctors look at babies whilst they're in their mummies' tummies. Just like this baby in Nicola's tummy here.
Baby face.
The jelly on Mum's tummy helps to give a clear picture.
So how important was Professor Donald's invention?
I think it's completely changed the way that we look after mums in pregnancy these days. In the past, the only way that we could find out what was happening to a baby in the womb was either by feeling mummy's tummy, which doesn't tell you very much, or by waiting until the last few weeks of the pregnancy when we could see the baby on an X-ray.
So can you tell me what this ultrasound scan shows us exactly?
It allows us to see how many babies there are, first of all, because sometimes there's more than one, to see that the baby is the right size for the date so we know when it's going to be born, make sure it's growing properly, make sure it's active and moving and its heart's beating. And of course it also allows us to tell us if there's anything wrong with the baby while it's still in the womb.
So can we tell how big the baby is?
Well, from the top of the head to the top of its sitting bone, it's about 7 centimetres at this stage.
Which is about, perhaps, that size? Tiny. This machine was invented in 1954. I take it it's developed a lot since then.
It has developed a great deal. Professor Donald's original machine was really very difficult to use and didn't produce much more than an outline picture. Nowadays we have what we call real-time ultrasound, where all you need to do is put the probe on and miraculously a wonderful, sharp, detailed picture like that appears. And every year it gets better.
Baby face.
Can you feel it when he's kicking on the screen?
It's actually like butterflies if you get nervous or if you feel it's just weird.
So how does it make you feel to see your baby up on the screen? And
It makes me feel really happy just to know that it's okay and it's fine and there's nothing wrong with it yet.
hello, and welcome to the final episode of Just Pipette. Welcome to the final episode of Just Make It with me, Professor Brainstorm, and my assistant Pipette, who will soon be looking for a new job. Pipette. Today, I will be inventing the reaction ruler.
A what, Professor?
A ruler which measures your reaction time, Pipette. Let me explain. If you were to place your hand like so, and I were to hit your hand with a hammer like so, very good, Pipette. You pulled your hand away very quickly, showing you have excellent reaction times.
Thank you very much.
Now, to make your reaction ruler, you shall need one large piece of paper, a large ruler, a pencil, some coloring pens, a pair of scissors, and some sticky tape. Well done, Pipette. The first step in making the reaction ruler is place your ruler on top of the paper. Throw around the ruler shape like so. Next, cut out the ruler shape from your piece of paper. You may need some help to do this, or you may have some help with someone who prepared one for you earlier. Well done, Pipette. You will now have a piece of paper like so. The next step is to divide the paper into 3 equal sections. My ruler was 30 centimeters long. Divided by 3, that means each section is
10 centimeters each.
Very good, Pipette. Just checking. Color each section a different color. Very good, Pipette. The next step is to stick the piece of paper onto your ruler. like so. And now, there it is, a reaction ruler. Pipette. Shall we demonstrate?
Yes, Professor.
I have caught the ruler in this section, which means my reactions are,
Very, very slow.
well done, Pipette. Had I caught the ruler in the middle section, that would mean my reaction had been medium. Had I caught it at the bottom section, this would have told me my reactions would have been fast.
May I have a turn, Professor?
Very well. Pipette, you're sacked.
Professor, the door's that way.
Deep, deep, deep in the jungle, man has many deadly enemies. The snake. Oh, get off me, you beast. The tiger. Oh, back off, you big brute. And the mosquito. Oh, you little blighter.
Excuse me for interrupting, Professor Meldrum, but perhaps you could explain exactly how can a mosquito, which is only really this size and really, really tiny, be as dangerous as a tiger, which is like much, much bigger and much, much more scary?
Well, yes, although a tiger is very, very scary, a mosquito is very, very small. And as they were biting from one person to the next, they were spreading this horrible disease. And do you know that over the years, over 5 billion people have died of malaria?
5 billion people? How did so many people die?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question. You see, nobody knew how the disease was being carried. Actually, most scientists thought that it came from the bad air which came out of the swamps in hot and sticky countries. Actually, the word malaria comes from 2 Italian words. Mal, meaning bad, and area, meaning air. Malaria, bad air.
When did they realize that it wasn't coming from the bad air?
Well, you see, the problem with the bad air theory was that although many, many people were dying in countries like South America and Asia, where there is hot and sticky weather and there's lots of swampland, people were actually dying in Europe. Did you know that people actually died of malaria in Scotland? And you can't exactly describe Scotland as being hot and sticky and got lots of swampland now, can you?
Who discovered it was the mosquitoes?
Actually, it was 2 people. There was a gentleman called Ronald Ross and another chap called Patrick Manson. Now, they set about proving that malaria couldn't be carried through the air. They actually discovered that it was the pesky little mosquito. And once the scientists knew that it came from mosquitoes, it made their job an awful lot easier to help stop it.
How important was this discovery?
Oh, very, 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 very important indeed. I mean, just think, if they hadn't discovered this, many, many hundreds, thousands, millions, maybe billions more people would have died from malaria.
Professor Meldrum, thanks very much indeed. I'll not keep you back any longer. I'll let you get on.
Thank you. Now, goodbye. Now then, where was I?
Steph, I can't find any clean plates. Steph, have you got any dirty plates in there? Okay, Steph, I'm coming in. Stephanie Morris, out! You are such a little piglet. Look at the state of this room. What is that smell? Ah! And how do you explain this?
Well, actually, they're part of my experiment.
And what experiment might that be? How to have the dirtiest room in the world ever?
No, I'm trying to make penicillin.
What's penicillin?
Only one of the most important medicines in the whole world.
Well, what's a plate of mouldy old oranges got to do with that?
Aha! A plate of mouldy old oranges
An ideal place to grow penicillin.
So who discovered penicillin?
It's Alexander Fleming, who was a Scottish doctor.
So how did he discover it?
In some ways, it was a bit of an accident. He had some culture plates like these ones, where he'd been growing some germs as part of his work. 6 weeks later, he came back and he thought he'd better clear them away. And suddenly, something caught his attention. That's funny, he said. The mould had produced something that had killed off the germs. So he called it penicillin.
Well, Kevin, it smells absolutely disgusting. And it doesn't look very impressive, does it? So, how important was this discovery of penicillin?
It just saved countless lives, and it's still having an effect on the lives of all of us. If a child had an ear infection in the past, there was nothing that could be done, and you might end up deaf. Nowadays, you just go along to the doctor and be given an antibiotic, and it would clear up.
So, thank goodness for penicillin.
So how's your toothache now then, Steph?
Completely gone. The dentist fixed it in just minutes.
Told you.
You know, Grant, there have been loads of medical discoveries which have made our lives so much better. What would you come up with?
Well, if I could come up with anything, it would have to be a way of stopping your toenails growing so much, because I have to cut them all the time and it really annoys me. Look.
Luckily, your inventions have been much better.
Our invention is called the helping box. It's got lots of bottles in it. Some of them help your teeth, some of them help your lungs, some of them help your bones.
Bandages that you just put round your arm if it's broken, and then in the morning your arm would be totally no signs of a break or anything.
We called our invention tap turners because that is exactly what it does. We thought of the old people who have stiff hands and fingers and who have trouble turning on taps. We tried it and it worked. My invention's called the Millennium Mask, and the mouth on it helps everybody from going hungry, because if you eat a stone or anything, it just turns into food. The invention is called the Cure Biscuit. If you have cancer and you take the biscuit, it could help them it could cure cancer, and about half an hour later, or a broken leg, it would cure that half an hour later. If they were blind, it makes them unblind. My invention is called the Chatty Hattie, and it talks to you. I made this invention because there's a lot of lonely people that need a friend.
Our invention is called the Sandwich Filler 2000.
You put a piece of bread under the top. The tube will be full of jam, and then you push down the corkscrew and cork like a lever, and the jam will come out the other end. It was designed for people with sore wrists because there's less opening of jars. My invention is called the back scratcher. You open a door at the back and you pull a lolly stick and it pushes in and out a hole. I decided to make it because if the disabled people couldn't scratch their back, the back scratcher could do it for them.
See You, See Me returns next Monday at the same time here on BBC Two.